Before each battle, every Repentia receives a whip strike to help them fight better. Interestingly, some systems...
Alright, so we are back and we are jumping back into the world of Warhammer 40K. Now, in my previous video, I had started watching Bricky's video on factions. I had learned about the Imperium, the Imperial Guard, Space Marines, and the Adeptive Mechanicus. Which, all of this information, it was a lot, but because I've become so enamored with the Warhammer lore, it was like very digestible. It was very good to take in. Now, since I've jumped into this journey of Warhammer 40K, it has absolutely taken over my life. Like, I've been noticing more and more Warhammer stuff that I didn't know before. And funny enough, my wife, she had asked me if I wanted to go to a bookstore with her. And I did, and when I went there, I actually seen novels and art books from Warhammer 40K, in which I went ahead and got one. So I absolutely can't wait for us to jump back into Bricky's video and explore some more of these factions. Now, I believe the last place where we left off, they were talking about the Adeptive Mechanicus. And basically, that was like the robot faction that prayed to this robot god, the Omnissiah. And what was really cool was, after I had watched that faction video, I started watching the Astartes video, which was really cool. But you actually see it in play where they're praying to their weapons, and they had the incense and all that other stuff. And I've been playing Darktide lately, and so that was something that you hear a lot in Darktide as well. It's like how they have the Omnissiah, the Machine God Shop, and all this other stuff. So it's like all of this stuff is like really, really cool. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump back into this. I believe we're leaving off at the Adeptive Mechanicus. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Y'all can leave your thoughts down below in the comment section.
Flesh is weakness, flesh is death. The Omnissiah is the god of the machines, and if you wish to be whole, if you wish to be holy, if you wish to give unto him, you must saw down your limbs and remove your organs and replace them with mechanical parts, because that is what he wants, and that is how you will become enlightened. Hard technophiles mixed with religious extremism. Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, for their army side of things, they are with the Scutari. The Scutari operate with very bizarre weaponry and lots of different kinds of vehicles, tanks, and different people in between. They're very weird, but they have extremely wacky and enjoyable, and in fact quite effective, both in the real game and in the lore, weaponry and gear. Overall, as an army on the tabletop, they're very weird and have a whole bunch of different shenanigans, but if you like kind of that quirky, wacky techno thing, I'd give them a pickup. Hell, they're so paranoid, I gotta keep going. They're so paranoid and crazy. These Dune Striders you see right here, one guy was able to make them work. One guy, and he died. And they're so scared they'll never work again that they keep them on and they never turn them off. And they run around in a circle the whole time until they need them, and then they corral it and they go into battle.
Oh, shit.
The Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, if you want to talk about faith, though, let's talk about the Sisters of Battle.
A simp has fallen for an eagle in Lego City.
The Sisters of Battle of the Adeptus Sororitas, if that's how I pronounce it correctly, is an all-female group of battle sisters going through the ecclesiarchy section of the Imperium. The ecclesiarchy is, of course, the church. This is, imagine a private army of the church, which is scary. And it is. The sisters are an extremely zealotous force, and they take this to a full extreme. They believe in three main things: faith, martyrdom, and fire. Through the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, the Sisters of Battle are extremely potent at taking out chaos and heretics.
Oh my god. That is so crazy with this whole universe, is that everything is extreme. I'm talking about, like, when he says a zealot, it is like to the next level, unlike any other thing I've seen in media. These people go crazy for the God Emperor. This is wild. And just let me just continue.
Mainly heretics, because as they are a fighting section of the ecclesiarchy church, That's the big thing they want to kill. Any form of heretic will face the Emperor's justice through those three main weapons, the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, and they will do so with extreme prejudice. Literally. They are the closest things we have to nuns in space. And I'm talking hardcore nuns. They carry holy fire on their backs. They have holy books and sigils all across their armor. Their main battle tank is a fucking pipe organ missile launcher.
Oh
they
my
have
God.
small babies that they have removed their brain capacity to make them little servant cherubs to fly around and give them ammunition and shit.
Oh my
They
God.
drop churches from low orbit as mini drop pods onto battles. They drop churches into battles and they blare war hymns and holy music from their frigates in low
That is
atmosphere and
crazy.
shower holy water across the battlefield. These are the people you are dealing with, and they're fucking awesome. They can
Oh my
literally
God.
stave off demons on the tabletop because their faith is that strong. Remember the warp, the demons from the warp? Well, the warp also manifests in your mind. All of your emotions, negative and positive, go through the warp. It's the immaterium, the place of all things. So if you are that mentally fortified, that mentally strong, you can stave off horrifying demons.
Oh my God.
And all these girls, not a crack. Not a crack in that mental armor. Now, as
All
much
right.
as
And this is what I'm talking about. This is how fucking crazy this world is, to where it is so dark that the nuns are fucking badass. We think about nuns that we have here in the real world. Oh, this. You know what? The lore just keeps getting more crazy. The more I watch these videos, the more I learn about this 40K universe. It's just everything just keeps getting more and more crazy.
a meme crack, not a crack in that mental armor. Now, as much as a meme as they are, and as much as their models look a lot like Ongo Gabloglian, yeah, which I can't unsee anymore, I gotta say, I love their design. I think they're extremely cool. They're another army that I'm currently collecting. They just released a whole new line of figures very recently, and they look wonderful. Everything from Celestine, the living, literally undying saint from the Triumph of Saint Catherine, which is literally a funeral procession as a model. Those organ tanks I mentioned earlier. This shit is the most over-the-top badassery in a lot of the Warhammer universe, and goddamn it, is it over the top. But Sisters of Battle are so cool. While I'm a guardsman at heart, this is such
they
a
made a
cool
movie about
faction.
that? That
By
would be
Bolter
so cool.
Shell,
Sisters
Flamer
of Battle.
Burst, and Melta Blast, the mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of their sin of existence.
Yikes.
So it has been for 5 millennia, so shall it be until the end of time. And speaking of burning demons,
I can see.
Grey Knights. Oh,
the Grey
I heard
Knights
about these
are
guys.
the first army I actually collected back in 7th edition. The Grey Knights are a super secretive and much more old school look at power armored knights, except they are all psychers. All of them have that crazy space magic magician shit. For every 100,000 guardsmen, there's one Grey Knight. For every 10,000 Sisters of Battle, there's one Grey Knight. For every 1,000 Space Marines, there's one Grey Knight. Grey Knights are the strongest of the strong, both in mental will and absolute just strength. These are Space Marines that are all high-level psychers, all of them able to specifically do one goal, and that is kill demons. The Emperor believed that the demons of chaos were the #1 threat to the Imperium, and he probably is right. However, this group is entirely based on doing that through a myriad of tactics. Coming from the planet, or I guess the moon of Titan in the Sol system, the Grey Knights are thrown through extremely rigorous training and are as clear of mind and soul as they possibly can be. Since the demons of the warp are the warp and your mind projects to the warp, people can go insane very fast, especially lower level psychers. These Grey Knights need to be able to harness the warp in the presence of demons and stay perfectly sane. One of their characters, one of my favorite characters, is named Castellan Crow. He has a demon blade, the black blade of Mahamahama, and he has to have it on him because it tempts everyone nearby, constantly beckoning them. Use my power, use my strength, suck my penis, whatever the possibility. And so he has to keep it on him all the time as this thing whispers to him consistently, and he has to stave it off forever, being alone in his chambers or on the battlefield, because anyone who gets too close to it might be tempted a little too hard. He is that pure of heart and mind, and all the characters in the Grey Knights are basically like that. The only issue is that Grey Knights have a scorched earth policy, more ways than one. If they're fighting demons, demons corrupt and make people crazy. So if I'm a guardsman and I'm fighting demons, and the Grey Knights arrive, and they kill all the demons, I'm a risk. And so guess who's not making it out of there? On the tabletop, they're very strike fast, strike hard kind of people. They teleport all around the place. They are fast strike groups, small amounts of models because they're so dang strong. You only have so many characters, but with it, you get in there, you're very tough, very tanky, you hit really hard, and you try to bounce around the battlefield quickly, but you don't have numbers, and so every dead Grey Knight hits really damn hard. They're fun, though, if you like that kind of fast-striking kind of army. Oh, and also, Kaldor Drago is a thing. We're not even going to get into Kaldor Drago. All right, that is, oh my goodness gracious. I am the hammer. I am the mail about his fist. I am the spear in his hand. Though we are lost, I am the shield on his arm. I am the flight of his arrows. I am the hammer. I am the sword. I am the shield. I am a soldier at the battle at the end of time. Grey Knights are pretty hardcore. They are as holy as you can get for a Space Marine. If you like Space Marines and you want to, you know, that they're holy enough, you want to be holier, Grey Knights. Now, if you want to be holier and big, let's talk Imperial Knights.
All right. All right, so he's already pointed out Grey Knights are badass. And I already knew that Space Marines were badass, but from watching these videos, but I really didn't know until I watched that Astartes video, in which it literally showed these guys burst into the spaceship, rip apart these psychers, and just like go to town. And so it really showed how cool these guys are. But I can imagine when I start playing the game, I'm gonna get a little bit more insight on how these guys how they function. Now, something else I think that I was looking up was they said that the Space Marines were operated on, and so they have like multiple organs and just a bunch of other stuff. All right, let's get back to this video.
Oh Lord, he coming!
Do you
Imperial
like
Knights.
gigantic walkers the size of homes or medium-sized buildings? Do you want to kill heretics, but you want to kill like 40 of them per turn? Do you want a gigantic old-school knight noble house style of walkers with giant chainsaw arms? Then you got Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights, it's not a whole lot to talk about them because they're just gigantic walkers, but they have this old-school like house feel to them, like literally like they're houses. Each Imperial Knight comes from a house, and each of them act in their own special way. These behemoth of walkers also destroy almost everything in their path, killing full swaths of squads in a couple shots, stepping on legions of troops. Like, these things do not mess around, and they look so cool. Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights, actually, for that matter, don't have a whole lot to discuss. They're just super big, heavy walkers, and they look different depending on your house or chaos god you currently believe in. And overall, these things are just really cool if you want to murder everything in your path. They're the big, scary, big unit of Warhammer, and if you want to collect them, go to town. They make for a great painting project, too. Getting more back down to earth, let's talk something about a little bit different, a little more gold. If guardsmen are regular soldiers, Space Marines are super soldiers. Grey Knights are super soldiers. The Adeptus Custodians are super soldiers cubed. The Adeptus Custodians are the third major army I own. I know, 3 armies. I know, I got carried away, okay? But that's all. I only have 3, okay? They are our final brand of Space Marines, but these ones are super special. Okay, if a guardsman is 6 foot, a space marine is 7 feet, a custodian is 8 feet. These are the giant defenders of Holy Terra, which is also Earth. Earth is Terra, Terra themselves. These are the people that literally guard the Emperor's throne room, hence custodians. These boys protect the Emperor's throne room at all times and are literally like handcrafted people. They're not humans brought up by a gene seer or something. These are all handcrafted super soldiers. I think from a tube. These behemoth of men are like 8 feet, 8.5 feet tall and functionally immortal. They stand still, spear in hand for hundreds of years without the need to sleep and barely even the need to eat. Watching over the throne room and every other area of Holy Terra for their entire purpose in life. And oh my lord, are they terrifying. These custodians put Space Marines to shame. If you liked your super soldiers, these are your super mega soldiers. One of these men can take on probably 3 Space Marines and most likely win. There are many different groups of custodians as well, like the Solar Watch, or there's also one of my personal favorite, the Aquilan Shield. The Aquilan Shield go out to seemingly unimportant individuals and protect them because they believe that they are going to be doing something very important in their lives. For instance, let's say a regular guardsman gets the protection of this giant 8.5 foot tall golden god because that guardsman will end up becoming a general one day or something of that nature. The custodians work in mysterious ways and are almost always outnumbered but never outmatched. These people are pretty horrifying, both on the tabletop as well as in the lore. There are very few of them, however, and there's actually an extremely small amount of them, but that's kind of the point. There's only so many of these people that can have war gear this strong, weapons this powerful, and training this good. And the custodians have all 3 of it. For 100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready. Always attuned to dangers unseen. Days, months, years passed by in a frenzied blur beyond those walls, yet within, little moved and nothing changed. For 100 years, I did not but wait, yet had any threat appeared, I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years, I stood my watch, and as it ends, I can tell you this, patience is a weapon.
Oh, man. This is it's so crazy, y'all, because as I said, I thought Space Marines were badass, and then they get into the Sisterhood, and then they get into the Grey Knights, and now they have, they had the big ass mechanical houses or whatever he was talking about, and now they have Adeptus Custodians. It can't get any more than this.
Custodians are the top dogs of the Imperium, and they hurt just that same way. Though I do want to discuss a little bit about the Sisters of Silence before we get out of here, because the Sisters of Silence I also have a few of, and they're really fun, but they don't get enough attention. These kind of bald plume ladies are a whole group of pariahs, are also known as blanks. We'll be referring to them as blanks from now on. So as every mind is somewhat connected to the warp, these blanks are a genetic mutation that has it suppressed heavily. Because of that mind suppression, normal people feel this weird, like, uncomfortable nature when around them. When a Sister of Silence walks past them, you feel ill. You feel just uncomfortable and strange. So most of them don't actually live past childhood, because once they are birthed, they're, well, killed or something at a very young age, because they just emit a horrifying aura. These ladies, however, are guardians of the throne as well for more psychic threats. See, none of the custodians are psychers, so they have a difficult time dealing with major demons and other kinds of psychic phenomena. These sisters are extremely specialized in it, all of them taking a vow of silence as they don't speak, hence the term Sisters of Silence, but they communicate through hand gestures and things of that nature. But if there's a demon issue, if there's any kind of warp-based problem, the sisters are extremely adept at dealing with them, thanks to their blank gene. They normally work a lot of time with the custodians because they have to deal with both kinds of threats, but they're not represented that way on the tabletop. In fact, they only have like one real model for them, which is very unfortunate. I hope they'll get some like news soon, because I think they should really be working together as it is that way in the lore, but hopefully we'll get there soon. But if we're talking about blanks, let's talk assassins.
My precious power ring, gone forever.
It's been a long video. We're about to round it out. We got this and one more human thing, and then we're done. The assassins, though, the Officio Assassinorum, oh boy, these people are deadly. Yeah, they're called assassins. They should be, but oh man, these people will mess you up. So these are from the Officio Assassinorum, a very special organization, and they are handpicked by the Grand Master of the Officio Assassinorum from the what was it called? Schola Progenium. It's basically an orphan school. Your parents got murdered by demons or something. You get sent to this and you get trained to be whatever. Tempestus Drop Troop, an Inquisitor, maybe even. Maybe you get a blank gene and you get thrown into the Sisters of Silence, or sometimes you just disappear. When you are taken, however, you go to one of 4 temples, because the Assassinorum works in the temple style of things. These temples are the Vindicare, Caluxus, Calidus, and Eversor temples. Let's start with the Vindicare. I'm far away. I've been sitting here for 3 weeks. Poof! The Vindicare temple is the main sniper-based temple. Gigantic sniper rifles for all these assassins. Their whole point is to be able to be in a spot and sit there, eye and scope, for weeks, waiting for their perfect target, taking people out from literal miles away after extremely long time periods. The Vindicare Temple is about precise, perfect aim. There have been reports of Vindicares being able to single out particular body parts from over 2-3 miles away. Temples in the head, the jugular, for instance, and been sitting there after weeks. And when they're ready, take that shot, time is done, packs them up. The Calidus Temple, however, is a lot more about shape-shifting and deviant art. It's mostly a female-based one, or at least it seems to be, and this allows a lot of body augmentation for certain individuals to be able to kind of transmorph themselves and infiltrate areas that are problems. These assassins will end up taking missions that take them years, 2-3 years, to infiltrate a heretical group and slowly work their way up, just to get enough time to put a bullet into the main target's head and then escape unharmed. Or become the main target and sabotage it from within. These are all completely about deception, mind tricks, polymorphing, and everything in between. And lots of drawings. Lots of drawings. The Eversor Temple.
Hell no.
Just kind of disturbing one. The Eversor Temple is about when you don't want anything to come back alive, friend or foe. You want it all dead. An Eversor is psychogenically conditioned with just psychotherapy and psychological torture to only feel violence, hatred, and anger. It does the Clockwork Orange style of thing of just making you forced to watch never-ending pain and misery and psycho conditioning, I guess is the term. And then they pump you full of tons of psychedelic drugs and they cryo-freeze you. And then they drop you in an area where they just want to make sure everything is dead. And then you defrost, full of just all this insane, mind-boggling psychotherapy and psychedelic drugs, and you just go to town. Yeah, if you don't care if anyone comes back alive. You're like, all right, lost cause. Send them in. Finally, there's the most bizarre temple, the Caluxus Temple. The Caluxus assassins are feared even among the other temples. So that blank gene, the people will go to the Caluxus Temple with this as well. And this is where they can harness that to be massively anti-psyker or even just anti-regular people. They're seen with extreme fear and distrust among many, many people. They're described by the Eldar by quote as being pure evil. Imagine that uncomfortable feeling from that blank gene I mentioned, and then imagine them being taught and given equipment to amplify it by 100. If normally regular people feel uncomfortable, now they are basically akin to being a siren wailing directly in your ear. And if you're a psyker, oh no, the sheer presence of a Custodians assassin is enough for you to tear your skin off. You will rather gouge your eyes out and rip your nails off than even being near.
So they probably use them to detect psychers then, if they're giving off that kind of aura. This is very fascinating.
For this person. The Custodians assassin is when you want psychers to literally lose their minds, and they will go on their knees and ask you to gun them down because it is a suitable choice over being anywhere near you. The motto of that temple is, that which is unknown and unseen commands the greatest fear. Now, for the tabletop, assassins aren't that special. You can call them in no matter what Imperium faction you are, and they do a lot of work for themselves, but at the same time, they're very specialized and require a lot of finesse. And they work the way you generally want them to, though. You want to cause some distortion and weird stuff, you take a Calidus. You want to just murder swaths of infantry and then blow up Eversor. You want to kill that one guy, Vindicare, and if you have a lot of psychers, Culuxus. It's a nice little, like, jack of all trades if you have a specific thing you want to kill. And you get to choose which is really fun. But now, let's talk.
All right, so really quick. So my question is, because he's already did this whole big part on the Space Marine and everything, and this section about the assassins was really, really cool. Very badass. So who is better? Could the assassins take out the Space Marine, or whenever maybe a group of assassins get out of line, do they send Space Marines in to wipe them out? Or maybe they're all just friends and everybody's just against heretics. So y'all let me know in the comment section.
About the last human faction, we can round this video out before we do part 2. The Inquisition. And we have a lot to talk about with them.
Well, on the subject of heresy!
Oh boy. Where do I even begin with the Inquisition? Take every secret police you can think of. The KGB, the Gestapo, the CIA, FBI, any of these kinds of people. And then mark it up by about 10 and give them the most power in the entire Imperium.
What?
No, you know what? How about this? This right here, it's not just a quote. This is the Imperial motto, the motto of the Inquisition. I apologize for my bad pronunciation. Innocentia nihil probat. Innocence proves nothing.
What?
The most powerful organization in the Imperium, the secret police, their number one motto is innocence proves nothing. The Inquisition goes around like the secret police or like detectives to find issues in the Imperium. And they have different ordos depending on which one we're talking about. The Ordo Hereticus, the Ordo Xenos, the Ordo Malleus, for instance, and a whole bunch of other ones. Hereticus is obvious.
So what, does the Inquisition, does that actually make up some of the other factions? Because it looked like he was one of those Adectus Gold Knights.
The Ordo Malleus, for instance, and a whole bunch of other ones. Hereticus is obvious, they deal with heretics. Xenos tries to find alien threats, and Malleus is demons. They all have different specializations in what they're trying to go for as this Inquisitor. And that's what they're called, Inquisitors. Each of them, as an Inquisitor, has their own free reign to do as they wish. They may have a ship and a crew, and they go out to find problems and interrogate people a lot. They are above the law in every department over Space Marines. Now, the Space Marines might argue against them and stuff, and there might be a lot of blowback, but technically they are above them as Inquisitors. They are looking to investigate and figure out coups and cults and demonic incursions and possible Xenos issues like gene stealers or a new threat coming into an area. They're about learning that stuff and actually doing detective work. And memes aside, they're pretty good at it. The Inquisition having all of this power does make them a little bit power hungry and frantic sometimes. And yes, it is still a bad thing, but most of them are pretty good at their job. And they spend a lot of time being very diligent to make sure that all of these leads they follow are proper and correct. They're basically space detectives with just enormous power and sometimes a bit of a power complex. And we haven't even talked about Exterminatus yet. Exterminatus is deeming a planet unfit to be saved. I deem that this planet is demon infested and taking it back will cost too many resources and is not worth it. I have now committed Exterminatus on this planet. I will now sign the death warrant of an entire Imperium planet as it is unfit to take and better to be destroyed than allow the enemy to hold it.
Oh my God.
This can mean saturation bombardment. This can mean cracking the planet's core and breaking it apart. Doesn't matter. Render this planet inhospitable to all life. Yes, the innocents proves nothing people are the only people who can choose this planet must die in its entirety.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're playing the villain. Now, it is memed a lot, but most Inquisitors are very rare to do Exterminatus. Exterminatus is a very crazy thing. There's only so many worlds that you don't want to destroy all of them. Now, naturally, with the memes aside, there are some people who are a little bit rough on this one. But most Inquisitors generally don't like to do Exterminatus a ton, but it is an option they have. And it's a crazy option when you think about it. Secret Police Inquisition are unfortunately not represented on the tabletop very much. You generally kind of put one in your army if you feel like it. You have a couple special options there and some side content, but they're not really fleshed out very well, and personally they need a lot more stuff put in there, and they really need a lot more effort put into them, and they're not quite where I want them to be. Overall, the Inquisition makes for a lot of the best storytelling as well, because it's a little bit hard to talk about a big story of a whole bunch of Space Marines killing something, right? It's just a big battle story. It's not as interesting. Having that intrigue and that moral dilemma that an Inquisitor has makes for a lot better media. And honestly, the more people do it, I think it's better, because then it adds a little more humanity to the Warhammer horrible, horrible grimdarkness. And wow, we just finished the humans, all right? Come back for part 2 when we talk about Chaos and Xenos, because we got to talk about the 4 Chaos Gods and all the Chaos Marine Legions and the Tau and the Necrons and the Orcs, and oh boy, we got a lot. I'll see you in part 2.
So I absolutely love the rest of this video, and I can't wait to explore more of these factions, learn more about these characters. And I really did, I liked his explanation about the Inquisitors and how some of the stories focus mainly on them, because going over all the other different factions, I was just like, wow, that is just too much, and I don't know how they could convey some of these things in a story. But when you narrow it down and you focus on maybe a certain scope, I could see how great storytelling could be told with from the perspective of an Inquisitor, and having the moral dilemma of I guess destroying a planet with Exterminus Mortius or whatever it was called. So yeah, we will finish and continue things in part 2. But as I said, because I am jumping into the lore of Warhammer, I do want to explore the games. And so I will be starting Space Marines 2, Rogue Trader, and I'm already playing Darktide. So guys, leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this video, and of course, point me in the right direction. I will be checking out part 2, but I will be exploring other videos from Bricky, as well as some other Warhammer content creators as well, because I absolutely love this stuff. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more Warhammer. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
If a Sister of Battle commits an offence, such as disobeying a direct order from her commander, reading a forbidden tome, or accidentally causing someone's death during surgery, she is considered disgraced in the eyes of the Sisterhood. Such sisters are often exiled to penitential orders where they seek to earn back the Emperor's favour. This is typically achieved through acts of extreme penance, including self-flagellation and atonement in battle. These sisters become Repentia. Repentia go into battle almost unclothed, armed with massive eviscerator chainswords. They're placed at the front lines of combat, and to ensure they fight well, they are given a few lashes from neural whips by the Repentia superiors.
What?
Before each battle, every Repentia receives a whip strike to help them fight better. Interestingly, some sisters become Repentia voluntarily, taking on the guilt of others. Or, for example, if one forgot to clean a statue of the Emperor last week, she might believe she must now suffer for that. Though in truth, it's mostly the enemies who end up suffering.
Oh.